What's on? Chris here from the inkslinger.co.uk, and it's time for another episode of the Word Slinger. This week we've got our first look at CBS's Supergirl. We've got breaking news about a potential expanding Ghostbusters universe. Don't know where, didn't even see that one coming. And of course the big tech news is that we had the Apple Live event yesterday, so I'll be going through the details of that. Wow, I was really concerned that this week appeared to be quite a slow news week. There wasn't a whole lot going on in the world of geekery and nerdery that was making me want to record anything in this episode. Apart from my first story today, which is that we have finally got our first look at the costume for CBS's Supergirl, of course starring Melissa Benoist from Glee fame. I say finally, actually. It feels like she was only cast 2 weeks ago. Suddenly she's in costume, so I don't know whether maybe she was cast quite some time ago and it's only just been announced. I kind of doubt that, but they're clearly already just pushing straight on. I'm not 100% sure actually whether this is only going for a pilot or whether they're just ploughing straight on with a series. Obviously, the DC intellectual property is just hot potatoes at the moment in the TV world. There is so much DC programming coming out, it's almost too much, in the same way that Marvel just has this ridiculous dominance over the cinemas at the moment. But of course you might remember that there was the ill-fated Wonder Woman pilot a few years ago now that just never ever made it to series. I think actually it's just only since Arrow really that suddenly all of the networks are just going plow straight on. Okay. Although I think actually Gotham might have gone to pilot. The Flash I think didn't go to pilot. Constantine didn't go through pilot. So I may be wrong, but if I am, you can sound off below. So we finally have our first look at Melissa Benoist in her costume. It's kind of nice to see that they've that she's gone blonde, because all of the photos that were released were of her with very dark hair, and it's kind of hard to imagine someone playing the role of Kara Zor-El or Supergirl when they don't have blonde hair, because that is what the titular character would look like. Not overly blonde, that's probably not such a bad thing. In fact, it's kind of a nice strawberry blonde-esque that they've gone for. A little bit surprised with the choice of costume, actually, because there's been a whole raft of different Supergirl costumes over the years, and I was kind of expecting that the producers might go with something a little bit closer to the New 52 Supergirl costume, which is basically like a one-piece battle armor leotard thing. I thought, they might just add a little bit more decency to it. I don't think Supergirl's ever really been known for covering herself up a huge amount. But they've kind of gone for proper retro style with the miniskirt, and I'm a little bit surprised that they've gone with that. Just think it's a bit strange. The color scheme seems a little bit off. They've gone with the all red emblem, which again I'm kind of surprised at. I'm surprised that they haven't gone with the sort of more of with the traditional red on yellow on blue. What's the other thing? They've also gone with proper old school with the emblem, because the New 52, again, Supergirl, is sporting a different emblem from traditional, and they've kind of ignored that. Now that's kind of an interesting thing for me, or from my standpoint, because if you think about what Marvel are doing, they are very, very much bringing their cinematic universe in line with the most modern comics. Okay, they're not really touching upon old stuff. Their Avengers movie is very, very heavily based on the Ultimate Avengers, or rather the Ultimates from the Ultimate Universe. Most of their cinematic universe is based on Ultimate Universe, soon coming to an end. DC seem to have gone the other way around. So I don't know, maybe they're trying to appeal to the pre-New 52 haters. I can't really see where the New 52 fans are going to come on board and go, yes, this is my Supergirl, because She doesn't look like the Supergirl from the comics that they might read. Although that comic is being cancelled, I think next month is possibly the last issue, if not this month, before Convergence comes in to play. And I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. I mean, where do they... If there's a Supergirl TV series coming out, why are they cancelling the series? So is it actually likely that the comic will follow suit on a TV program? Perhaps we'll actually get a new Supergirl comic down the line once this program is aired, and she'll be sporting a more traditional costume. Who actually knows? That's about as much as you can say about somebody dressed as Supergirl, even if they are actually Supergirl. So let's push on. Some crazy news that I spotted within the last 24 hours, really. Obviously, it's been a known factor for certainly a good few weeks, if not a couple of months now, that the Ghostbusters franchise is being rebooted. This is that whole reboot issue that we've discussed a number of times. I won't go into too much detail on that. It's being rebooted, and they put a lot of emphasis on we're going with an all-female cast. And I cannot remember any of the names of the cast. I wish I'd written them in my show notes. But certainly half the cast out of Bridesmaids are going to be on the team. I don't really have a problem with the all-female Ghostbusters team. In fact, I don't have a problem with it at all. I find it a bit strange that they feel the need to say, yes, we are having an all-female Ghostbusters team, as opposed to just, we're doing another Ghostbusters team. And they happen to all be women. I don't know why there's a real, we must emphasise this. Of course, it was International Women's Day within the last week, so that's sort of going on the back of that. Why should there be a real sort of forceful push on it? Why can't it just be something that can happen? Whatever. There was some debate, shall we say, online about how this is going to be. I don't really think we need to reboot much of anything, really. I think, why can't we just stick with things? But suddenly, I'm now hearing today that they're looking at another Ghostbusters film, this time with an all-male lead. It's like, if that's not a reaction, I don't know what is. It's like, oh no, we've got all-women Ghostbusters team, and some people don't like it. Let's make one with all men, like the original one. And again, who cares? Why can't we have a mixed Ghostbusters team? Why can't we have a Ghostbusters team that's got like a white guy and maybe a black guy and a woman of any ethnicity, and maybe the Martian Manhunter, and a ghost. Slimer can be back in it. Okay, it doesn't matter why. I don't understand why we need to have they're all men or they're all women. So this Ghostbusters team is potentially going to be headed up by Channing Tatum. Okay, I don't really know. I don't really think I've seen anything that he's in. I'm aware that he exists as an actor, and then just like within the last couple of hours, I'm suddenly hearing that, guess what? Oh, Chris Pratt might be in it. Oh, Chris Pratt. Has he been in any films? Has he been in any films recently? Let me think. Every single film that has been made recently has got Chris Pratt in it. He's like suddenly the golden boy. But actually, there's been this real emphasis by the studios, like, well, don't worry, it's not because Chris Pratt's in everything. It's because he's friends with Channing Tatum. Of course, it's because they're friends. Not because every film franchise has got Chris Pratt in it at the moment, except for Star Wars. But I guess he'll be in episode 8, probably. Probably like the main. I bet Chris Pratt is in episode 8. So yeah, there was something came out of Hollywood reported that original Ghostbusters Helmer, Ivan Reitman and Dan Aykroyd, who was, I was going to say he's one of the writers. I really don't think he was. I think it was actually Harold Ramis did the writing, I think. But Dan Aykroyd, I'm going to stop there because I'm not sure if I'm right or wrong. So blah. Certainly Dan Aykroyd played Ray in the Ghostbusters. So him, Ivan Reitman, who directed, have been appointed by Sony Pictures, who I never knew they owned the rights to Ghostbusters, but I guess whatever. They've created Ghost Corps, which they're going to use to oversee the creation of an entire shared Ghostbusters universe. So they're going all full Marvel on this, and there's going to be your female Ghostbusters film, and then you're going to have your male Ghostbusters film, and oh my god, maybe they'll meet up, and we could have a third Ghostbusters film with all 8 of them, because I'm assuming there's going to be 4 guys as well, because it's impossible to fight ghosts with more or fewer than 4 people. And Slimer. So yeah, Ghost Corps. They're going to be this shared universe. I kind of think that's a little bit ridiculous. I loved the Ghostbusters cartoon when I was a kid. Of course I did. Everyone who is my age, or roughly, loved the Ghostbusters cartoon when I was a kid. In fact, I still vividly remember, despite the fact I must have been quite young, I can vividly remember hearing somehow that there was a film of Ghostbusters, because I thought it was just a cartoon, and saying to my dad, is there a film of Ghostbusters? And he said, yeah. And I said, does it have the Marshmallow Man in it? And he said, yes. And it's like, basically, that was, for me, that was child nirvana. Okay? And then I watched the film, and it scared the absolute Jesus out of me. Just that opening scene in the library. You know the one I mean. Ivan Reitman has told Deadline, and I'm quoting now, my primary focus will be to build the Ghostbusters into the universe it always promised it might become. Really? Really? Did it ever promise to become a universe when we were children? I don't think it ever really did. It promised to turn into a cartoon, and that cartoon kind of spun out a little bit, but all they really did was make the characters look nothing like they actually were in the film. And they actually went back to try and duplicate the cartoon for Ghostbusters 2 for certain elements, and that's basically it. And there was, of course, a crazy toy line with things like, I still remember, I think it was Ray, where you press a button on his back and his head would, the top of his head would come up, and so his mouth was open like that, and it's like, maybe that's the shared universe they're talking about. I seem to remember I had a haunted toilet action figure. I don't know why anyone would ever buy their child an action figure of a toilet. So maybe we've got some childhood issues that are surfacing here as well. But really, Ghostbusters Shared Universe seems just a little bit ridiculous to me. There might also be a prequel in the works. So you've got your Lady Ghostbusters and your man Ghostbusters and a prequel. I wonder who's in the prequel. Maybe that will be, I don't know, all children perhaps, or perhaps it's such a prequel that it's all like Native Americans fighting ghosts. Who knows? I think Shared Ghostbusters Universe, rubbish idea. Okay, well, that episode overran substantially when I went on to talk about the Apple Live event, so I've decided to break it down into 2 clips. So if you're interested in finding out about the Apple Spring Forward event, then please head on over to part 2.